Bill. Oh, God. Here we are.
We're back.
Hey, live, episode 110. Okay, we're different. We're the girls. Oh, we are like
From the quarantine heaven.
Oh, quarantine. We are not. We're like quarantine. Like we're not. Like we're self-isolated.
Self-isolated.
Isolated.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to Bull Bowler episode 110 with Travis Robinson
And Alan Goyer.
and our special guest, Bill Marion, who's going to talk to us about the US Census.
Yes.
This is really exciting. The census. It's like here. I mean, it's like, what else do we have to do, right? Like, we're all home here. So, Bill, I took the census, and it was really exciting. I did it yesterday.
Hey, Alan, I'm losing your voice.
Oh, are you? Can you hear me now?
Now I got you.
Okay, let me just hear you now. Okay. Anyway, I'm very excited to have you. So, Bill, what is your connection with the census here? I mean, you're the Bill Marion, the census guy. This is what we're kind of pushing.
Bill Marion, the census guy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say on my tombstone, I think. So I have a public relations government affairs company, and we are doing some work for the Southern Nevada Regional Planning Coalition in order to raise awareness and do public outreach related to the census, particularly in what we call hard-to-count communities or hard-to-count neighborhoods. And so what that means is Nevada is, well, why don't we talk a little bit about the census first and why the census is important. The census is, by constitutional mandate, conducted every 10 years. The report is given to the president at the end of every decade, 20. So this is 2020.
Wow, so the president has something to read? Yeah, at the end of the year.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, he'll probably, maybe turn it over to somebody else who will read it for him.
Okay. With pictures. You have any pictures? Okay.
Yes. Pictures of people.
Okay.
But so the census has one primary function, and that.
Oops. I'm losing you.
So every state has two senators. Are you losing me?
Yeah, we lost that last part about the senators.
Okay. Anyway, so every state has two senators.
Right.
The number of members of Congress or the House of Representatives are apportioned based on population.
Right.
And this is a zero-sum game. So, for example, if Nevada's population grows and we get another Congress seat, that means some other state has lost a Congress seat. We don't just gain a new one.
You don't just add Congress, so Congress doesn't just grow and grow and grow.
No. So the number of seats are set at this point. Now, if another state were admitted to the union, that would then probably increase the number of representatives in order to accommodate that state.
I see.
Okay.
I see.
But the second thing that happens, and this is what is really critical, is that there is about $700 billion in federal domestic spending that is apportioned to states based on population.
That's real money.
So that's real money. So these are Medicaid funds, healthcare funds, education, transportation, social services, Meals on Wheels. So a lot of money is sent to the states based on population. And again, it's a zero-sum game. There's $700 billion out of it.
Right.
If we lose money, that's not just money that the state doesn't get. That's money that we're giving to Nebraska or to Oklahoma. Right. So here's why the census is important. For every person who is not counted in Nevada, that's $2,100 a year for 10 years.
Okay, so that's where the 10,000 number comes up with per person.
That's $20,000 though.
It's actually 21,000.
Yeah, that's an even bigger deal. Wow, that's huge.
Right,
okay.
And so now let's put that into perspective. If we have just a 1% undercount in the state,
right,
that's $60 million a year in federal funds that go someplace else.
Right.
Wow.
Think
Right.
about that.
Right.
If
It
we
could
have
go
a
to like
5% undercount,
they go to
if we have
Florida
a
or something like
5%,
that.
yeah, if we have a 5% undercount,
Yeah.
that's $300 million a year, or $3 billion over a 10-year period.
Wow, isn't that like recarpeting the Bellagio? I don't know.
Maybe all of MGM Mirage's properties.
Okay,
Anyway, so
okay.
that's why this is important.
Right.
And now let's talk about Nevada as a
Oop.
state. We are a hard to count state. There's a website that you can go to. It's a US Census website. It's called ROAM, ROAM, which is Resource Something Mapper. And you can look at census tract by census tract and see what the potential for an undercount is in those census tracts. Mm-hmm. So first of all, Nevada, urban areas have larger, harder to count neighborhoods than rural areas. Think about it. Rural communities are fairly stable. Urban communities change. They fluctuate, they grow, a lot more transients. And then also we have a large immigrant population. Immigrant populations are notoriously hard to count. And particularly in this day and age, they're even more hard to count. People are afraid to take.
Right. That's why this.
I'm afraid that whatever. Go on ahead.
Well, that's why they don't have this. The citizens question is not on the census. You see, that was the big deal before, right? Because people were.
So the citizen question isn't on the census, but that doesn't mean that somebody in an immigrant community isn't concerned that ICE will have access to the data.
Right. Right. Still kind of a scary.
So that. Yeah, and then also, if you are so let's talk about who should be counted, because there's probably some confusion that you have to be a citizen to be counted, or you have to be a documented alien, and that's not true. Every single person in the state needs to be counted, whether you're living here on a temporary basis or you are a full-fledged resident, whether you are a citizen or a non-citizen. If you're 2 days old, an infant, you need to be counted in Nevada. So let's put this into perspective. For example, the Golden Knights. You might be a Canadian citizen. You play for the Golden Knights, but in April, you're living here in Nevada. You get counted here in Nevada, even though you're a citizen of Canada.
So it's where you're living on April 1st that's important for the count, wherever you're living.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So you have to predict where you're going to live on April 1st. Basically, that's what you're counting as.
Well, either like today, so you can go and fill out the census.
Right. And be
today.
optimistic.
So yes, you determine where would I be living. Right.
Right. I thought I'd be optimistic and do it now and say on the 1st I'm going to be living here.
I'm here.
I'm not dead. I'm not dead yet.
And it's important that you do that, because if you were to die tomorrow, you'd still count it.
Well, this is why we're calling this episode "We're Not Dead Yet" episode. Why not do the census?
And even if you do die, you still get counted.
You still get counted.
Right.
There's something
and you take all the uncertainty out of it.
That's right. It's like I'm alive. I mean, this is your one chance to say I'm here on the 1st.
Now,
and they can't take that away because I've already put enter.
Here's the other dilemma about here's the other dilemma about the census, though. It's not that every person fills out the census.
Right.
There's one census form per household.
That's what's interesting.
We
That's the
were
confusion
talking
about that. Yeah.
The head of household.
See, we got sent this. I got sent 2 of these actually. These little blue things from the census, which was cool.
Right.
Which was like, oh, I got 2, and I thought, is it because there's 2 of us living here? But actually, there's a lucky number attached to this thing, right? You get this letter, and it says your census ID is blah 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 2Gs, etc. And you have to enter that thing in. What does that have to do? That's the household number.
So here's why the census. Here's why the census does it by household. the census, I mean, there are records of every address in every community. So the Census Department has those addresses. They have no idea, though, who's living at those addresses.
Right.
First of all, let's take Las Vegas. A whole bunch of addresses didn't exist 10 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and how many of us actually live in the same place that we lived 10 years ago?
Right.
Very few of us, I would imagine. So they
well, I
know
do.
the number of households. They just don't know the number of people in those households.
Oh, right.
Or
Like
who's living in it.
like 10
so
years.
that's why your form.
Right.
So that's why your form or your notice is sent to the address, not to Alan Goya.
So
Right.
I'm going to cut in real quick. So Lynn, she says, so do I need to not worry about other places or just where I'm at on the 1st?
You determine where your residence is or on the 1st of April.
Your residence,
Okay.
where you live.
So
where
for
your
example,
residence
let's
is
say-
on the 1st.
Not where you're on vacation. Just where you.
Where your residence is.
No, not where you're on vacation.
If you go to Disneyland, well, it's closed anyway, so you can't go anywhere, right? So this is a perfect time for the census because we're all
here.
We're all here at our homes. We've been told to stay in our homes, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's actually one of the things that makes it challenging, though. Because of coronavirus, the dormitories have closed.
Right.
Well, if you're a student living in a dormitory on April 1st, you actually get counted in Nevada.
Right.
You might live and your parents live in Wisconsin, but you're living in Nevada on April 1st, so you get counted here.
Got you.
Right. I can see where it's tricky.
And so now, so now with all of the students now not, probably they're back home now, and they might be taking classes online, but they're actually not residing here at this point, so we'd lose them.
So Lynn says again, she says, I've received 3 censuses for 3 different homes in different states. So, what would she do with that if she has 3 homes in 3 different states that all gave her the census paper?
Wow, she has a lot of homes.
First.
Right,
but
where does she live the most?
Where is she living on April 1st?
Okay.
But remember, Lynn won't be getting the census notice by name. She's going to get it by
address,
household.
Right, they're asking,
by
you live here, right?
Yeah. So we're on April 1st.
So,
once again, it all comes down to April 1st.
Right. So let's say that you've got a second home in Utah. That residence is going to get a notice.
Right.
But if there's nobody living there, then no one should fill it out.
Right. That you know of. No.
That you know of. Yes.
What if you get like...
So
do people ever find out that somebody's living in their house that they didn't know about?
At least they got counted.
Yeah.
So here's the other tricky part, and this is why this whole notion of the census form going to the household is so critical. Mm-hmm. If you've got a roommate,
right,
but there's only one form per household, so you have to make sure that you fill it out for your roommate, or that your roommate fills it out for you.
Right.
Or if you've got grandmother living with you, you have to remember to include grandmother in your census form.
Yeah. Well, this is Travis. This is who he is.
Example.
He has a roommate.
Yes.
Who's grandma?
Yeah.
Well, not his grandma, somebody else's grandma, but she is definitely a grandma.
Yeah, she's still grandma.
Yeah.
But so I'm definitely not head of household. She's head of household, but
you should make sure she
there's only one census paper.
So you have to talk to her and say, "Hey, include me."
Yeah, I got to talk to her about putting me down.
So what about, like, let's say let's say my home. Well, we used to have 5 people living here 10 years ago, right? Because all the kids were here. Now they've moved off in a way, and let's say my sons are living with roommates, 5 different roommates. So it'd be incumbent. Now, would each one of them? Each one of them could do their own census, but you want the head of household, one person to.
There's only one census form.
Hang on.
from the same household.
Oh, it's only one census form per household. So you only want to fill it out
Right.
once
So you have
per
to-
address.
And you know what? Don't worry about who is, quote, the head of household.
Right.
Just designate somebody in the household to fill it out.
Right, who can do the paperwork, right?
Exactly.
Somebody that doesn't procrastinate, probably, hopefully.
So grandma might be the head of household, but that doesn't mean she has to fill it out.
Right. Right. Hopefully everybody in your household is talking to each other, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to know, Alan, is that you used to have a household of 5,
Right.
and now 3 have gone away.
Right.
Do you realize that you just cost this state $6,300 a year?
Shit, I didn't realize that.
Get them back.
I feel really guilty.
Get
Just
them back.
come back in, but they're still living in the state, actually.
Oh, okay, then that's fine.
Right.
Okay, as long as they didn't move out of state.
Right.
Well, I tried to just link the US Census form. I guess I got to do it afterwards. Doesn't want to link, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, I was really impressed. I did it on Sunday, Bill, and it was really great because you can do it on your phone. You know,
Right.
I think
You
it's a
can do
big.
it from your
friendly.
iPad. You can do it from your smartphone, and
Yeah.
that's really important because there are a lot of families that don't have. And then I should also say that for those who are unable to or feel uncomfortable about entering their information online, they can also do it via telephone.
Right.
And I think
Oh,
that
really?
there's something
Wow.
like 13 or 16. Yes. And there's like 13 languages that you can
I see.
take the census in.
Wow.
And then you can also, if you want, you can request a paper ballot.
Right.
nice.
Man, I mean, you can do it in Portuguese, Haitian, French, Polish, Tagalog, Arabic, Russian, Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Spanish, and English.
The census is for everyone.
Yeah.
Young, old.
Here's a list. Here.
Right. And so that's why, that's proof positive that, the Census Bureau wants to and needs to count everybody, regardless of where your national origin is, regardless of where your permanent citizenship is.
Right.
If you're living here, even as a temporary worker, you get counted here.
Right.
One of the hardest areas that's going to be to count is going to be all of the budget suites and the daily, weekly rentals.
Right.
And just imagine how many of those we have, and they're transient in nature.
Right.
So, their proclivity for filling out the census is probably not high to begin with.
Oh, I love that proclivity. Yeah, it's one of those PR words that are really great. Yeah. Yeah, that is, no, their proclivity is, I always have that proclivity problem. So
So, Bill, question number 2. Maybe it'll have to do. Maybe it'll tie in with the census. But what is your superpower?
why are you doing this? Why are you
Well,
the
it-
person that, because I think you're pretty good at it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as understanding what it is.
So my superpower is being able to talk my way into or out of any situation.
Okay.
That's important. Once you get yourself into it, getting out of it is really
It's even more
And
important.
that's it's like you never back anybody into a corner because then the only way out is through you.
That's right. No, but
One
So-
way or the highway.
well, how can people,
So let me tell you one other thing that's important about the census too, and this is particularly for those that are afraid that someone else might have access to the
oh, yes,
data.
that's a question.
So the data that you provide is safe. No other entity, whether it's a private entity or even no other agency of the federal government, has access to that data. And that data is protected for 72 years, which means that the latest census data you can actually access today is from 1940.
Have you done it?
Have I done it?
Did
No,
you
I have
rush
no
out
reason to do it.
when that day happened and kind of like,
But and the point is,
yeah,
and there's I believe it's a $250,000 fine plus potential prison sentence for accessing that data.
Really?
So ICE doesn't have access to it. FBI doesn't have access to it. Sheriff's departments don't have access to it. So that individual data is safe and protected.
Well, it's good to know we're safe.
That's good to know. Yeah. So
Well, we're not too scared of that. We're on the world of Facebook. We like giving people our data.
we give people our data.
We want them to know what we want.
That's right. I was ready to Social Security number, mother's maiden name. They don't ask you to do that stuff, right? What are your passwords?
No.
Nothing like that.
No. It's a simple. I believe it's a 9-question or 10-question questionnaire that's really just about you, your age, your marital or personal status. So it's there's nothing in there that's incriminating.
Well, I had an interesting kind of. I also have this kind of dilemma, when I do the census, because they ask you, a question about race and everything, and for years, I put Japanese because actually my relatives are from Japan, but actually they're from Okinawa, so they're kind of Okinawan, so kind of like this technical thing. Then after a while, I was going, well, we're Okinawan, so I kind of was going to this this Pacific Islander thing. I go, well, I'm from Hawaii, so I was wrote in the Pacific Island, and Okinawa is another Pacific island, so Pacific Islander kind of fits the general description. But what should you do on those kind of terms when you're not quite sure of who you are, or what's the census want to know?
Okay, so here's I'm going to tell you the Bill Marion solution to this, and
this
the
is
Census Department.
This is how you
the Census. The Census.
This is not official.
Department won't tell you this. But for example, there are members of the LGBTQ community who are upset because the only choices that they give you are male and female. They don't give you, are you transgender or
right.
Okay, and so there are members of that community who have said, well, we're not going to fill out the census in protest.
Right.
Well, all that we're doing if we do that is cutting our nose off to spite our face.
That's right.
But here's what you can do: don't answer the question.
Right. Oh.
So this is the chickens want screen time.
Really? Don't answer the question. Okay. Yeah. You see our chickens?
Yeah.
The chickens are up.
There they are.
The chickens are up and they're laying.
They're laying.
Matter of fact, one of the things that
now here's what's going to happen if you do that. The Census Bureau, there's probably some algorithm that they have that it will automatically answer the question for you.
They'll just okay, yeah,
that makes sense.
Right, but you can refuse to answer the question.
Right. So like I could refuse to answer. If I felt really bad about that particular. Where are you from? Pacific Islanders or Japan? If I said, well, I want to categorize this. I'm from Oahu and went to Kailua High School. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
Just ignore it.
Right. So
because it's not my group,
just
not
don't
my
answer
tribe.
the question.
Right. It's like it's not a tribal thing we're talking about, right? Yeah. This is
right.
We're not trying to identify your tribe. Or are we trying to address your tribe?
So I
don't know.
But I also think that the census is an empowering thing. And let me to address specifically what you're talking about. So let's say you're part of the Hispanic community. You've got some fear of what the Census Bureau might do with this information, with this data, and so you say we're not going to be counted. Well, one of the things, if you're a minority, one of the best ways to prove or to exercise the power of your community as a minority is to get counted, because then the proportionality of your minority increases.
That's insanely empowering.
And so to say, given the Hispanic community that it makes up 30% of the population of the state. Well, what if it actually is 34% and not 30%?
Sure.
Yeah.
So filling out the census, and to your point, let's say if you're a Pacific Islander, filling out the census and that you are a Pacific Islander helps to increase the proportionality of your ethnic background.
Right. This is powerful stuff over here. I mean, like, so I mean, so what are some of the challenges now that you guys everybody's on, like, I mean, this couldn't this well this this COVID-19 thing couldn't have happened at a worse for everything. So everything is up. So there's some particular challenges here.
Yeah.
How do we move forward
so
here?
all of the outreach
Oops.
all of the outreach activities that we had planned to go to go into the community to encourage people to participate. We had plans where we were going to have Hispanic businesses, for example, their employees wear buttons or wrist bracelets that promote the census, because you trust the people that you interact with, and if you see that, the guy at the store that I see all the time has a census button on, that means it must be safe. We're not going to be able to do that anymore, and so this window for taking the census is narrowing rapidly. The other thing is that one of the things that the Census Bureau does is that they'll keep sending a household a notice to fill out the census. At some point, when they know that household hasn't filled it out, they will send people door to door to count. Right. Well, with this pandemic, are they going to be able to recruit people to knock on doors?
Right.
B, are people who are behind those doors going to want to answer a door,
open the door
from somebody they don't know?
And maybe in a hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
and so the risk. The risk here is going to hamper the ability to collect accurate census data.
Right. Well, the little thing that we could do is like encourage. I think is to say, well, one is that you can do it on the phone, which is really quite easy. And it really only takes 10 minutes if you only have one other person living with you. Now, if you have like 10 roommates, this could take a while.
But it shouldn't take that long.
How much longer?
The hardest part about it is filling the form out first time and reading all the questions. Well, once you've read all the questions once, filling it out for everybody else in the household is easy.
Sure.
It's just about the process, getting her done.
You just got to figure out which island they're from.
Yeah.
You're fine. Oh, then you get this really cool, thank you for coming. Then you get a graduation certificate. Although, Bill, you're being a kind of a marketing PR guy, you guys could kind of like spruce up the certificate a little bit, get some balloons or something like that,
Send it over to me in an editable format, and I can do all kinds of things with it.
Oh yeah, yes. We want a nice certificate. That's how I went to the college I went to, is just because my acceptance letter made me feel like I graduated. It was so elaborate with calligraphy on the top. I just didn't know this is how they get their tuition. They could charge more tuition. It just costs more. With calligrapher costs more. But it's worth it.
Yeah, except now they know that all you did was you just changed the font on your computer.
I know. Those are
it's real easy to do that now.
Yeah, well, this was pre-word processor days. Remember those days?
Microsoft
I do indeed.
Remember, like Bill, you and I were like the last generation. Well, we had to go to school with a typewriter. Remember those? They never received a typewriter.
Listen, I was just glad that I had one of those electric ones that had that correcting.
Oh God, you were one of the elites. Did you? Mine was like gonna get stick and
modern
stuck.
Typewriter.
I mean, do you remember? I mean, those were the days when you did not put a quote in because you didn't want to have to readjust your footnotes.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You were driven by right. Things have changed. Right.
That's right.
No. That's why I'm going. I'm going back to the typewriter though. Sam Shepard, the author, said that you just get it out, and don't try to self-edit, because when we write on a word processor now, we tend to self-edit, right? You tend to self-edit and edit as
Right.
you go. You just write it out first draft, all the just all of it. Just get it out, and then rewrite it on the computer. After you get it all out.
Yeah, but it's so easy to edit these days.
It is. It is.
Believe me, I don't want to go back.
Well, let's I don't want to go back to India. We're here for the future. Speaking of the future, we're going to have a prize. We want to ask our audience out there to. We have a prize here for the best census question here, and you get a free. We're giving away. Well, actually, it's Natharam.
Our newest sponsor.
2-ply bath tissue. We're going to give away.
This is valuable stuff, guys.
Yeah, so if you guys
ask questions about the census.
have a comment, and we'll get your free roll of toilet paper here.
Do the census. Tell us about your experience.
Yeah,
get it done.
Yeah, what else could we do? A free cup of coffee, something like that. And actually, if you go out there, all you folks on BC Social who aren't watching this live because you're watching in the afternoon when we're all taking naps. Just write in your questions too, and if you have good questions, we'll tell you how to get your marathon bath tissue prize.
All right.
Yeah. And Alan, I'm going to tell you, don't let them know where your address is. That single roll of toilet paper might cause a flood of people to come over.
This is true, and I got eggs too.
Yeah. All right, here I'll play us off.
Well, hey, Bill, thanks for joining us, and thanks for everybody at BC Social. Spending another half an hour of your morning with us at Boulder.
Episode 110. Thanks again.
Hey, I had a great time.
Hey, and good luck on the census, and we're going to
Thank you.
do everything we can to make it sure it happens. We can even take this on the road. This is like this mobile. We're gonna get some people counting in Boulder City. Are we hard to count here in Boulder City? I mean, maybe not.
Nah, you're one of the you and Summerlin are pretty easy.
We're pretty easy. Well, there's a lot of people who don't even live in these cul-de-sacs on the other side of the hill. With the lake views. There are all these summer homes. But we want them to say they live here.
They live here
on April 1st. That's the main thing we want them, right? Lobby them.
That's exactly right.
Okay, April 1st. Where do you live? Thanks, Bill.
Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. All right. I'm gonna give the chickens a shot.
The chickens a shot.
Why not? Give the chickens some screen time.
Episode 110 of Bold Boulder.
110 of Bold Boulder, and now for the chickens. Look at those chickens and my head. Here we go. Oh, it is raining. The ladies.
Mealworms. They got that chicken stuff.